We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special live Saturday night episode of Vikings Uncensored, or as they say, live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Or in your case, live from a national emergency.
Yeah, exactly. The governor actually finally did declare a state of emergency earlier today or yesterday, whatever it was, I think. But yeah, we are back on the air. We're live. We're makeshifting things as much as I can. I still have no internet. I do have power. We were out of power for off and on for better part of a couple of days. A lot luckier than most. A lot of places around here still don't have power, but
no internet. How is he live?
Through the magic of my mobile hotspot on my phone.
Right.
And surprisingly, it looks like the feed from my phone is a little bit better than what the internet's been lately anyway. So we'll go with it as that anyway. But want to say again, good evening to everybody. It all comes down to this. The Vikings have put themselves in a position to where they must win out or risk sitting home on the Davenport next to Marcus for the playoffs. So
exactly. No puns intended there. Well, yeah, there is.
Oh no, the pun was absolutely intended there. That was
one and a half fucking games. 1.5 games out of the fella.
Yeah.
1.5 games on Marcus Davenport.
13 million for a game and a half. That's a good gig if you can get it.
You know what though? I hope Questy learns. I hope he learns from this. You know, as far as signing guys with injury histories.
Yeah, these reclamation projects and some of that other.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
I'm fine with reclamation projects, but you don't pay them that. Paying them that kind of money, but just kind of makes it a little bit more.
Yeah, I would like to have seen more than a game and a half.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody would have, but anyway, tomorrow night, Sunday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings host the stinky, moldy cheeseheads from Green Bay as the Packers come to town. Kemper Sports, we will talk about switching from Mullins to Jaren Hall. That's one of our talking points. We'll hit up in just a second. But before we get into that, there is a few fairly significant NFL news things we want to hit here first, and then we'll roll into the preview itself. Good evening, Josh, Reggie, Kemper Sports.
Reggie. Good point, Reggie.
Jones and Wanham made you forget about them. More Wanham than anybody else. DJ Wanham far exceeded my expectations.
Well, Patrick Jones has been coming around pretty quick in the last week or two.
He's made his presence known in the last couple of games. Good evening, Doc. But anyway, starting with regular NFL type stuff. Travis, good evening. Came out on, was it Wednesday or Thursday, that Denver Broncos have decided to sit Russell Wilson for the next 2 games. Jarrett Stidham, who
wasn't he in Oakland or Las Vegas last year? Or no, he was in New England.
Stidham was he was, but
all of the above.
But, yeah, Stidham was the one that played after they benched Derek Carr with the Raiders last year too. So
right, and he did pretty well under Belichick there too in limited time. So I mean, yeah, whatever. And the funny thing is, what
the reason why they're
odds that Russell ends up here next year, Rhino?
I was just going to talk about that too because I'm about ready to vomit on that one already. But the main reason why they are sitting Russell Wilson is because if he gets hurt, there is a $37 million injury, or it becomes fully guaranteed for injury if he can't pass a physical in March.
Jared Stidham, it looks like right now, Kemper.
The Broncos are going to draft a quarterback.
I was going to say, I look for the Broncos to be on the market for a quarterback in the upcoming draft.
Yeah. Good evening, Brian. But yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson he's burned. He's garbage.
I said something really smart earlier this week. I'm going to have to say it again just so I can pump my chest a little bit here. I don't say very smart things very often, but I thought this is pretty clever. It's like, it's funny because in the generation of football that we're watching, we got to watch Tom Brady make Bill Belichick, and now we get to see that Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson in Seattle, I believe. Kind of a crazy double take there on that situation.
Yeah. How much is it going to cost Denver to move up in the draft? It all depends. I mean, Denver's basically going to try to tank the last two games. But this quarterback class is deep enough. They're going to be able to get, even if they don't get to move up, they're going to be able to get somebody like a J.J. McCarthy or a Penix or a Bo Nix or somebody like that.
This is an extremely deep, talented quarterback draft coming up that we have here.
Yeah. What happened to Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson became more about Russell Wilson than he did about actually playing the game of football and being a teammate. Been out of kind of rumblings out of Denver for the entire time he's been here that the rest of his team really don't.
Well, I mean, there's been
they don't get along. They don't click and they don't get along very well, I guess.
Some of the things I had heard about from Sherman and Marshawn in Seattle is that they had to get a hold of Russell's manager just to try to get a hold of Russell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's some ego stuff going on there. And then, I mean, it's not a good look at the biggest position of the game.
Right. Brother Dave there with the biggest thing is about, that's it. Russell Wilson became a first-rate jackhole, basically, or always was, and it just came out more whatever. But anyway, this isn't a Denver Broncos show. We just wanted to bring that one up. Kemper, those rumors persisted this year. Now, again, you take everything that's coming out of Denver with a grain of salt because Sean Payton is the head coach there, and Sean Payton can kiss my fat white ass. But
amen to that.
Exactly, Doc. And this is the last thing I want to say on Russell Wilson. Then we're going to move on. Those Bet Online and all these other places are saying the Minnesota Vikings are the favorite to land Russell Wilson next year. The Minnesota Vikings are not going to bring in Russell Wilson. Right to Doc's point right there. And they're not going to bring in somebody like that. He doesn't fit the culture. He doesn't fit the system, and he's not that good of a quarterback anymore.
No.
I made a comment
before Russell Wilson is even a thought.
I made this comment earlier this week when all this came out that I would rather pay Kirk Cousins $45 million next year than I would pay Russell Wilson $25 million. So that's all we're going to say about Russell Wilson for now. We can talk about that later on in the off season and that kind of stuff. Since Kemper puts up here, where do we think Russell Wilson will end up next year? I don't know. It'll be probably be some team, maybe in Atlanta or somebody like that I could see. Or
no more Russell Wilson talk. Let's fucking move on to some Vikings.
Yeah, let's move on to that. Other quarterback news, though, the Washington Commanders are benching starter Sam Howell, and will start Jacoby Brissett the last two.
That's kind of interesting to me, but I mean, I thought Howell was having a decent season as a quarterback. I don't think he's the problem over there.
Sam Howell was like second or third in the league in passing this year.
Yeah. I think Washington has more issues going on than just Sam Howell.
I fully expect Rivera to be gone out of there at the end of the year too, but
he got that last year, but who knows? Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Beyond that, the Tommy DeVito era in New York is over. He's back to the bench. Tyrod Taylor will be starting there. James, we will get to that in just a second. Yeah, Sean Payton took it away from me. Yeah, Sean Payton also took away his private parking spot and all that other stuff, which that's one of the few things Sean Payton has done that I agree with, but I just said we're quitting on Russell Wilson, so we're going to quit on Russell Wilson now, and we're going to move on. Couple of Viking stuff. I want to just put this out here because, and it's not the entire fan base, but there are some of these Detroit Lions fans are starting to really get on my damn nerves now.
Oh, it's to be expected with these guys. I mean,
but there's a bunch of them that were out there basically laughing, cheering, making jokes and all that stuff about TJ Hawkinson tearing, his ACL and his MCL.
Somebody just made a comment about that up a little bit about what do we think about the hit on TJ last week.
Brian, yeah, thought it was cheap and should have been penalized.
Kirby Joseph was out there being just a fucking thug, man.
Yeah, I don't know that it technically was a penalty. Was it a clean hit? I don't really think it necessarily was.
I don't really know. I mean,
it's iffy. I mean, you're not supposed to take a dive at somebody's knees, but
honestly, for TJ to tear both his ACL and MCL and to be able to fucking hop up like he did, I had my ACL and MCL torn to shit, and there's no fucking way I would have been able to hop off the field like that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Next week in the Lions game, Oliver should lay him out. Yeah. Paybacks are kind of a bitch, so.
I mean, that was like the second kind of ugly hit from Kirby Joseph I seen that game alone. So, I mean.
Do you think Justin Fields will be the starter for the Bears next year? I think he's making a case that he's finally starting to turn around, so it would not surprise me. If I was Chicago, I would keep Fields.
Taking a quarterback in the draft. Yeah, I'm all for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Chicago, honestly, and this isn't just because I'm a Vikings fan and not a Bears fan, I would lean towards keeping Justin Fields and taking Marvin Harrison with the first overall pick.
That's pretty smart. That's a good take. I like that.
But there again, we'll talk more draft as once the season's over and that kind of stuff too. But while we're on the injury front for Minnesota, of course, TJ Hawkinson tore both his ACL and MCL, putting the start of the 2024 season in jeopardy. Now he did basically the same injury that Adrian Peterson had at the same time. Ooh. So it can come back and ready to go by the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that was Peterson was just on another level when it came to being able to come back at the same level he was at before injury, but better even. So
yeah, so I mean, it's possible he's back by the start of the season. It's possible he may miss the first month. I guess we'll find out when we get to that point. But
it's football, man. Injuries happen. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way the game is.
Yep. Beyond that, DJ Wanham tore his quad. He's out for the year. Back to this year. If you're picking wide receiver at 1, you should trade back and stockpile more picks. The problem is if you don't take Harrison at 1, Arizona's going to take him at 2. So if you want him, you're going to have to take him at 1. But you do also have Neighbors from LSU, who's very high up on the wide receiver list there too. But again, we'll save the draft stuff for a little bit later on. Beyond that, Jordan Addison has been listed as week to week with his ankle injury. Now he's listed as questionable for Sunday, so we'll see if he plays. But has Wanham done enough?
I kind of look for him to play, but
has Wanham done enough to warrant bringing him back? I think there's a very good possibility that happens. If you'd have said that at the beginning of the season, I'd have said no. But Wanham has played out well under Flores this year. As most of the guys have.
I've always been fairly high on Wanham. I mean, and this year he went out and he had himself a good season, and he got a lot of pressures as well, just outside of his sack numbers. So he brings it. He's got a high motor for sure.
Yep. And since we need to re-sign Kirk at a discount, draft D help, dare I say, secondary again, I think it's becoming more and more likely like there may be a short-term deal for Kirk Cousins, but that does not, nor should it preclude us from taking a quarterback in the first round.
It shouldn't.
No. This would actually be the perfect opportunity to do it, because you take him, you let the kid sit behind Kirk for a year, so you're not forcing him out there. Because how many times have we seen these can't miss quarterback prospects? Granted, a lot of times they're going to a bad team, and that's part of the reason why they fail. And the Vikings aren't.
That's a lot of the reason why.
Yeah, the Vikings aren't a bad team. That's the thing. We're stacked as far as talent wise. It just
we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, though, too.
Yeah, we are. Who's going to replace Hawkinson? Don't know who the backup is.
I like Munt. I always have. I've liked Munt. I've liked Oliver. Oliver reminds me a lot of Rudolph, honestly, but a better blocker.
Yeah, Josh Oliver. Yeah, and that's been his forte, is his blocking. But he's a good receiver too. He's underrated as a receiver. So Josh Oliver will be a starter.
Johnny Munt's good old reliable. You know, I don't see him drop a lot of passes. When the ball gets thrown his way, he's pretty good at pulling in and bringing it in.
Yeah, Munt will be the backup tight end.
I'm excited to see what we see out of Nick fucking Muse, man. Let's hope he's elevated this week to the active roster, because what he was pulling off in the preseason was pretty nice, and I liked it. Granted, it was preseason play, but I would like to see what he brings to the table as well. We still have a lot of weapons on offense. Hawkinson went out with an injury, and it feels like the roof is caving in. And maybe our playoff lights are dwindling, but it's still there. We still have a beat, and we have enough talent on this team to win a couple more games. I will never actively root against us to lose, or for us to lose a game.
No, and I heard James bring this up. Lance's favorite player, Troy Dye, was put on injured reserve today.
Barr was elevated.
Anthony Barr was signed to the active roster, and then now they brought back our old buddy Nick Candlelight Vigil and put him on the practice squad.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
I hadn't seen yet Reggie on that either, so I'm guessing that would have had to have been done today, maybe. I don't know.
I think you could activate him on game day.
Can you activate him on game day?
Yeah, I believe so. The inactives aren't listed until game day.
Yeah, J.J. Addison Osborne, who Brandon Powell is wide receiver 4.
Probably Tristan Jackson.
Tristan Jackson would be the other one. Jalen Naylor is doubtful.
That's a question mark right now at this point.
Yep. We'll go through the injury report here.
Okay, I see a remark about Flacco out there. You know, I'm going to say something about this right now and put that to rest. Yeah, I was on the train of not bringing Flacco in. I mean, from what I've seen from Flacco in Denver and then in New York, I had no interest in bringing Flacco in and playing for the Vikings. I'm sorry. That's the way I seen it. I think that's the way a lot of us fans seen it. And none of us could have predicted what he has gone on to do right now as far as turning back Father Time and playing lights out for Cleveland.
Right.
Nobody predicted that.
No.
So that's that.
Yep. But anyway, through the injury,
shout out to Joe Flacco because man, you are balling.
yeah, oh yeah, he absolutely is.
Flacco, I'm cheering for you, bud. I love what you're doing in Cleveland.
Yeah, but the big thing this week was, the report came out that Flacco was interested in joining the Vikings after Kirk went down. Well, at that point in time, Joe Flacco was out there basically begging teams to sign him to the practice squad.
You don't know what you know until you see it. And I was on the bus, like I said, of not bringing Flacco here.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was washed, but he has proven, and I think Stefanski's really set Flacco up for success.
Absolutely.
Look what he's doing for Njoku over there in Cleveland right now.
Mm-hmm.
Njoku looks like one of the best tight ends in the league right now with Flacco throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
But you can't predict that type of thing. You cannot. Dobbs is considerably younger. We got Dobbs for basically next to nothing. I see the thought process that Kwesi kind of put into this, I would imagine. Like I said, you don't know what you don't know, what we know right now. So, and I'm cheering for Flacco. Congratulations. I'm glad. It's a great story to see unfold. So, good for Cleveland.
Yep. But anyway, let's get into the game preview here. Of course, like we said, Anthony Barr up to the active roster. Byron Murphy Jr., Theo Jackson, Jalen Naylor, and Jacalen Roy are out for tomorrow night. Jordan Addison and Mekhi Blackman are questionable. So our secondary is going to be a little on the thin side here, potentially.
It will be, but that's okay. It's okay. I think right now that's my feeling I'm getting. That's okay. We got guys out there that are playing safety that have played corner in the past, and if you're Brian Flores, you figure it out and you make it work, and I think we will.
Right. Thank you for the update, Sarah. Good evening, by the way. Nick Mew is already on the active roster, so he will be there.
And you know what?
Good evening, Stephen.
Kepler's little snippet right there with his prediction. You know what? At the end of the day, whoever wins this game gets the light stays on, and whoever loses gets to sit at home, like Rhino said, with sitting on their hands next to Marcus Davenport on their Davenport.
Right.
So I mean, this is it. This is for. If we lose, this is done.
Mm-hmm.
We're as good as out.
Yep. Then of course, over on the Packers side of things, Devondre Ray Campbell, Christian Watson, and Luke Musgrave are all doubtful. So there's three of the key players from their starters over there that are out. Darnell Savage, Dontavian Wicks, and TJ Slayton are all questionable. So Packers are far from healthy as well.
Yeah, we are not losing this game. We're not going to lose this game. I
sure to hell hope not.
We will not lose this game. I don't see Jordan Love finding a rhythm. I don't see Jordan Love taking that next step, knowing this is a win or go home situation in our stadium and coming in and getting the win. If he does that, then my hats go off to him, but I can't believe that will happen.
Yeah. But the one last thing on the Packers side of things, cornerback Jair Alexander. I'm sure y'all heard about the shit that he did this week. He has been suspended by the team for this game for actions detrimental to the team. So basically what happened was he was not a captain last week when the Packers played the Panthers, but he went out for the coin toss anyway and damn near botched the entire thing because Packers won the toss. And then he said, well, we want to play defense. But you're supposed to say, no, we defer to the second half, because if he says we want to play defense, that would have basically forfeited getting the ball to start the second half. But luckily for the Packers anyway, that the referee asked to clarify, and they said, oh yeah, that's what I meant, but watching his interview after the thing, that literally made my brain hurt. I did not realize that guy was that freaking dumb.
Just relay that.
Clueless or however you want to put it, but my God.
Illiterate. Anyways, yeah. I don't like him.
No, I never have. I never have either. And I was actually kind of looking forward to having Justin Jefferson back so he could make him his little whipping boy for the entire game, because Jordan Addison did it earlier.
Addison did it earlier this year, so
yep. So
the flea.
Well, but you got to prove, you got to make a point that this kind of crap can't happen. I mean, is it harsh? Yeah, but I'm guessing there probably has been more to this in the past, where they have to finally put their foot down. Yes, that's as Sarah's just saying here too, because of other things too. So I think defense has given up on Joe Barry. Although LaFleur has been giving Joe Barry the vote of confidence and says that Barry's not going anywhere, which I hope he doesn't. I hope he sticks around for another year. But anyway, moving on to the actual preview portion of the game. Must be more going on behind the scenes like Wilson and Denver. Yeah, I think there is, because if it was just a one-time incident on that, I don't think the suspension probably would have happened. But I think there is. I mean, I've even heard rumblings that the Packers may be looking to move on from Alexander at the end of the season just because he's becoming a pain in the ass and they're tired of dealing with it. So
I don't think we'd have a defensive player that would go on the field when he knows he wasn't supposed to in the first place, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, could it happen? Sure, but
it could. But I don't see it happening. Not with the guys that we have right now. I don't see that happening.
And honestly, I think if for example, and Danielle Hunter would never do this because it's not his attitude.
No, it's not in his mental fortitude. Does not say that that's a good thing to do.
Right, but just. For example, if Danielle Hunter went out and did that, I could very easily see Flores and KOC putting their foot down on it too. If it was a first-time deal and an isolated incident kind of thing, you don't start him, you sit him for a couple series or something like that. But
that says something about the culture right now in the locker room, honestly, in my opinion.
Yep. I think it'd be done without locker room and have. Yeah.
Hey, exactly. We're right on the same page, and yeah,
right,
exactly.
But it happens. Suspension, stupid. Yeah. I guess I'm okay with it.
I understand, but the thing is that he's the one that made the stupid decision to do it.
Right.
I completely understand.
And the reason he did it, he said, "Well, Coach knew I'm from Carolina, and that's why he went out there." And this.
You should be pissed at Jair for doing that stupid shit. Is what you should be pissed about.
Yeah. Veteran who took some liberties. Yeah. But it was liberties that he should not have taken, and he was told ahead of time he wasn't the captain.
Back onto the team. It directly reflects onto the team, having a player step out of the line and do that.
Well, I mean, we had that happen under Zimmer, when that last, I think it was actually against the Packers, that game when a bunch of the cornerbacks decided to Terrence Newman and company decided to go rogue. I believe it was against Green Bay, but yeah, Reggie, anyway. we're gonna move on from that now, Reg. But anyway, let's roll on to our weekly tale of the tape. Of course, these numbers are all getting all screwed up because what was once very high on the numbers. Good evening, Yogi.
Good.
The numbers are skewed all over, especially from the offensive side of things, because we're on our fourth quarterback. Well, before we go to the tail of the tape, we haven't really talked about that. Let's dive into the Jaren Hall.
These guys have been waiting patiently this whole time.
I've been holding off on it just to build a suspense on it. So
guarantee everybody watching right now is just waiting for us to chop into this.
They would rather hear us talk about some meaningless tail of the tape stats.
Russell Wilson or
yep. Let's roll.
Jaren Alexander.
We made them wait long enough. Let's roll into the Jaren Hall news. Of course. They held off as long as they could. Should have just appointed himself God of all living things. Good evening, Chris, by the way. Jaren Hall named the quarterback for this week. Not unexpected, I guess, especially when on Wednesday when they had their first, the practice where the media was allowed in there. Both Mullins and Hall were taking first team snaps. And like Kevin Seifert from ESPN said at that time, if Mullins was going to be the starter, there'd have been no delay. They'd have come out and said right away that Nick Mullins was going to be the starter.
Right.
But, I mean, you kind of had to make this move just for the simple – I mean, I know Nick Mullins threw for 400 yards against Detroit last week.
I don't care.
Those four turnovers.
500 fucking yards last week against Detroit.
No,
you didn't win the game.
The four turnovers are what – I mean, and even if he'd only thrown the three that – if he'd have thrown that last pass, which he had all kinds of time, open, and he threw a lame duck.
The fucking reason we are where we are and directly reason why we are here is because of the turnovers this season.
Right.
I had this talk with Reggie the other day, the brother Reg in this here. He's here right now as we speak. The reason, number one reason that we are here is that we do not take care of the fucking ball.
Yeah. Well, it rolls right back to it again. The Vikings
Our defense is gassed by the time the third quarter comes back around. When you're turning the ball over 7 times in 2 games, and then you blame your defense because they're giving up 30 points. They're on the field for fucking 45 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, well, it goes right back to it. In the 2 years of Kevin O'Connell, he is 17-0 when the Vikings are at even or plus on the turnover battle, and he's 2-13 when we lose the turnover battle. So that says all you need to do right there. If we don't turn the ball over, we're probably going to win the game. If we turn the ball over, we're probably going to lose.
As of right now, as far as turnovers go, Nick Mullins sits worse than Jameis fucking Winston.
I think Nick Mullins in 2 games had only 1 less interception than Kirk had the entire first half of the season.
Yeah. And
that's the thing.
Exactly it. That is this year is the number one reason we are where we are is directly correlated with how many times we've turned the ball over.
Yep. Finally sat somebody for turnovers. He'd mentioned that earlier in the season, and they did it for Dobbs, and now they did it for Mullins because, I know everybody was always saying, well, we need to see what we have in Jaren Hall. Well, we're going to see what we have in Jaren Hall now. It's not because we need to see what we got in him. But it's because we're pretty much out of options. So as long as Hall doesn't go out and turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, I would say we run a decent.
Honestly, the reason Hall is playing right now is because it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything. And he has control of his own narrative at this point. He has. If he wins these next 2 games, we're in. And then what? I'm not going to talk about the fucking draft until we're set and we know where we're picking. I'm not gonna fantasize about that at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Kemper, no, we are actually 31st in the league. Cleveland actually has more turnovers than we do.
Excuse me.
So we aren't the worst. We're the second worst. Either our last 2 options are Jaren Hall or KOC himself at quarterback. So yeah. James, this is a question I talked about this on Rhino's Rants on Monday, but it bears talking about here again. What if Hall does well? Do we still draft a quarterback? Yes.
Yeah.
Because
smart.
2 games is not enough to. I mean, even if he plays lights out for 2 games, because against Green Bay is not going to have any tape on him, so there's a good chance that he's able to go out and do things that people don't know he's going to be able to do, and good chance we can win this game on tomorrow night.
And this is going to be a really, really hot topic in the offseason as well. If Hall comes out and does well, it's going to be a hot button topic before the draft leading up to it.
Right. But the thing of it is, like I said, 2 games is not a big enough sample size. You absolutely still draft a quarterback. You bring Kirk back on a year or 2 deal. You keep Jaren Hall on. Because worst case scenario, Jaren Hall becomes a very good backup, or he becomes a valuable trade piece down the road where you can trade him for draft capital.
Very good point, Barry. Except for the few blue chippers that you get here and there. You're absolutely right. You got to have patience with some of these rookies. Lewis Cine, though, I don't know. I have no idea what's going on there, and I know it doesn't even get talked about anymore. It's just that it's kind of one of those you don't want to talk about.
Absolutely, Sarah. That was the point I was trying to make. If he plays lights out because nobody has any tape on him, because I mean, the 2 games, and this rolls back into do we draft a quarterback next year? After 2 games earlier in the year, there were a lot of people in the Vikings fan base that were ready to sign Josh Dobbs to a 2 or 3 year deal and move on from Cousins.
There's things that you need to look at as far as the way Jaren Hall plays the game, more so to say than the tape that's out there, because then you want to see how he throws the ball. You want to see where he puts the ball when he delivers it to the receivers. You want to see if he stands back there and is hesitant to throw it to his open man. There's these little things right now that you want to look at Hall, then that can lead you to believe where he's going to be later on.
Mm-hmm. No to Kirk. I'd rather have Hunter back. If I had to pick between the 2 of them, Sarah, I would agree.
Yeah. Yep.
But Skull Mafia, good evening. Heard Cine is not a good tackler. That's why he's not playing. Yeah, his tackling is issue. He's taking bad angles, things like that. So that's the reason why he's not on the field. Barry made a good comment here. I want to put up here. You can't write off a year with Justin Jefferson in his prime. That's why I think it's increasingly likely that they may try to bring Kirk back on a 1 to 2 year deal.
Everyone here knows the face from last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. I don't even have to say I'm Justin Jefferson. That face. I don't want to see that face.
No.
I do not want to see that face ever again, because that face tells me plenty. Just in that shot. A dejected look on his face. Really, I do not want to see that.
No.
He can't do it all. He can't throw the ball to himself.
No. Davey James, good evening.
You don't want to see that look on the best player on your team. No.
Sarah, earlier in the year, and I know you heard me say it not only on this show, but over on Under the Lights with our buddies Justin and Dave, that I didn't think there was much thought in that either. But I think the Achilles probably changed that a lot more, because he's going to be 36 years old coming off an Achilles injury. I think there is a 1 to 2 year prove it deal there.
And who's to say that but Kevin doesn't want to take this chance to go out and get his guy? So then he can live and die on his own ledge with his own guy. Kirk is a great guy. Is a great quarterback. Has been a good quarterback for us. But if I'm Kevin O'Connell and my seat's getting a little bit warm, I'm not saying that it is. But if I feel like my seat's getting a little bit warm, then I'm going out and getting the best quarterback I could get in this next coming draft.
Yeah. I don't think Kevin O'Connell's seat is hot. I mean, firing, I know there's been people, that have been saying, oh yeah, they need to move on from O'Connell. I mean, and we've had this discussion. I'm more than willing to have the discussion about Kevin O'Connell possibly giving up play calling duties. Now, again, last week against Detroit, I thought O'Connell called a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think he has in the last couple of weeks. He's called a couple of good games.
Yeah. Draft running backs and defensive linemen more often in later rounds, more time before you need to pay them. Yeah, there is that. I mean, again, we're going to get into the draft stuff, positions in need and all that stuff later on.
KOC has been calling good games, and he called really good games, at points with Kirk as well. It's just he's not the one out there throwing the ball, and he's not the one out there making the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
He's been dialing up the right plays. It's just the the way it has transpired hasn't been what we wanted to see.
Well, no, and that was the infuriating thing, with what we saw out of Mullins the last couple of weeks. There were times when Nick Mullins looked like a very competent quarterback.
Yeah, he goes streaky during the game. Where
he threw for almost 800 yards in 2 games. But then there are some of those plays when you go out there and it's like, what in the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It was, like that 1-2 weeks ago where he's basically falling on his ass and just drops it and it falls in the defender's lap. He almost
doing that though too. What the fuck?
He almost did that again this week. It just so happened that it bounced out and landed on the ground this time. That you're talking about Cousins. I think the reason why he didn't look like he was happy was because he was seeing what was going on.
I don't know.
Kirk never had a reason to stay here during the previous regime, so wouldn't give a friendly deal. He's happy. I think he'll give us a good deal. I think there's a better likelihood of that, Doc, because him and Kevin O'Connell do get along well and they work well together.
I agree. That's a good point.
So, I mean, I could see Kirk on a 1-2 year deal, 30 to 35 million, maybe.
He's got to look at his timeline as a quarterback in this league and got to realize where he's at right now.
Mm.
He really does.
I mean, could he go to another team and break the bank one more time? Yeah, he absolutely could.
Probably. Yeah.
But you start looking at the quarterback play. I mean, looking around the league this year, how many backup quarterbacks are out there? How many starters have gone down? How many places the quarterback play just god awful?
It doesn't matter with Flores on a team deal there, Robert, because we can back up the Brinks truck to Flores and just unload it because it's not against the salary cap.
Right. And yeah, you give Flores whatever the hell he wants.
Doesn't count against the cap. So I mean, you give him whatever he wants to get him to stay.
The robot can't respond to the commands. The guy controlling the robot needs the robot to respond in kind, or the guy controlling needs to adjust quickly.
It sounds like a Kirk metaphor here.
Yeah, something, yeah. B-Flow leaves. I predict Brandon Staley as the new DC.
I don't think it's set in stone that Flores leaves. I really don't. I don't think it's set in stone that he leaves here. I think he might stay. I think it's just as possible for him to stay as it is to leave.
I think you're probably right on that. If Flores does go, I think Brandon Staley might be a candidate to come here because him and Kevin O'Connell are very good friends to begin with, and so on and so forth. But Kirk will want guaranteed money and no trade clause. I don't know that Kirk's going to be necessarily in a position to be demanding that stuff.
I mean, it is. On this all night. This is all hypothetical crap that we're talking about right now.
Yep. We've seen what life is like without him saying no thanks. I mean, we've seen the absolute worst case scenario post Kirk Cousins with running through the gauntlet of horrible backup quarterbacks that we've had. But the thing I'm going to counter on that, Doc, is none of these guys that we have playing quarterback now post Kirk Cousins this year, nobody was ever going to consider any of them to be a quarterback of the future or legitimate starting quarterback. They're backup quarterbacks.
Yes. And we can't be afraid of bringing in our guy from the draft or wherever. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sick of bringing. Ever since I've been a fan of this team, it's always been either picking up a guy that falls to us. We've never went after our own guy and went and got our guy. Or it's been, let's get a Band-Aid guy like Randall Cunningham or Jeff George or Brett Favre or Kirk
Donovan
Cousins.
McNabb or whoever.
McNabb to get us to the next level, and it's never worked. We need to go out like we did and got Fran Tarkenton back in the day. We went out and got him and make a new, but we need to go out and do that now and get our own guy. I'm sick of retreading everybody or waiting to see what happens in the draft and letting our guy fall to us. Let's covet a guy and go get him. Put the time in to study the guy. Don't be taking fucking Christian Ponder, Tavarius Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater falling to the end of the first round. Oh, we're getting a sweet treat because he fell to the end of the first round. Let's go up and grab him. No, we'll take a chance. No, Dante Culpepper, but he still fell to us too. We got the best of the ones that fell, and we let him fall to us. We didn't go up and get him.
Yeah,
so,
and that's the thing. You got to decide this year if you want a.
I love Daniels. Right now. At this point, he's right up there on my board.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is what Jaden Daniels and Drake May are my 1 and 1A. I can go either way on them. I think honestly,
I don't want to touch Caleb Williams. Honestly,
I'm off the Caleb Williams train myself personally. I think Drake May would fit perfectly into what Kevin O'Connell wants to run as an offense. The thing I like about Jaden Daniels is he's that true dual threat. He's kind of a Jalen Hurts type that can do all those the run pass options and the read options and all that other stuff, and he'll take off and run.
And the thing is, I believe there's going to be some good quarterbacks that go down in the second round that should have been picked in the first.
There will be. I and a lot of it's going to depend on what happens in pro days and combine and all that other stuff. But you've got guys like Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, some of these guys that could be available in the early second. Now, I don't want to wait until the second round to get a quarterback.
I don't care. As long as we know that we're going in to get a quarterback and we do our studying on the guy and it's who we want to get, then I'm okay with it. Drake May would be great.
Drake's going to slide with Daniels. I think it may be Caleb Williams. There's still, Caleb Williams very likely still is the first quarterback off the board, but
I think Williams got a case of the ego already before he's even came into the league. And a lot of the times that we see that, a lot of the times we see these guys coming into the league with the ego, they rarely ever pan out.
Yeah. What are the chances we're willing to trade draft picks to move up? I think we're going to have to if you want one of those top 3 guys.
I think it's good. I think that could very well happen. Very well happen. And I think that's been the plan the whole time is to get a quarterback on the cheap through a rookie deal.
Yep, and
with a 50-year option, yes, Robert.
And that's exactly another reason why I don't want to wait till the second round to take a quarterback. I want that 5th-year option, especially if you're going to sit him for a year behind Kirk.
Yeah.
Now, rumor has it we tried last year. Yeah, I think it's more than rumor, Reggie. I've been told from more than one source that if certain players had fallen to it or hadn't been taken, that we were going to move up and get them. But Daniel seems like a twig he might break. I don't know. I started watching quarterback tape this week, and I like Jaden Daniels. I really do.
I think he's got all right size.
He's 6'3". He's tall. He's a little bit.
Look at fucking Matt Ryan.
But he can. Matt Ryan couldn't move. Jaden Daniels can fucking run.
Yeah, that's just it. Yeah.
Now that's one thing that maybe will slow the roll on Daniels a little bit. He's got some of that.
He doesn't have any injury history, though. Knock on wood.
No, but do we want somebody that's going to take off and run as much as he does? I think that O'Connell probably wants to rein some of that in.
I think he kind of wants a little bit of that in his quarterback, where he has the ability to take off and run, but he wants him to be more of a inside the pocket, inside the system.
He doesn't want that. He doesn't want that hero ball type stuff. The old gunslinger, and that's I think where, the off field and attitude stuff away from Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams
and I know you guys
plays more.
Maybe y'all might gag a little bit at this, but I think O'Connell kind of wants to go Rodgers type of quarterback, not really known for his mobility, but when he needs to get out of the pocket and make a play, he can. But Rodgers still plays within the system somewhat, That's the type of quarterback I think he's looking for.
How many quarterbacks could be as successful as Kirk playing behind an injured kid? Well, GMAC with a good rebuttal. What do you consider successful? If you consider stats successful, absolutely. if you consider ultimate results of the team successful, then no, it hasn't been.
Yeah, I think Daniels puts on another 15, 20 pounds and be just fine.
Yep. Hey, Rap, good evening. Yeah, Daniel's 6'4", 210. Yeah, I mean, and these kids are still growing. They're gonna he's gonna hit the weight room in the NFL, and he'll bulk up some.
Continuing on the Packers preview.
Yeah, we didn't mean to turn this into a draft.
That's the thing about live shows, though. Is that
and I like that. And since we went through all that, we're already 50 minutes into it. I think we're going to skip tail of the tape this week, just because. And
we played these guys. We played these guys this season. We know what we know what we're getting into. Yep. We're getting them at home. So I mean,
absolutely, Yogi with the stat line there. Yeah, he had a hell of a year. I mean, won the Heisman.
Yeah, I love me some Daniels, man. He's right there at the top for me. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Reggie, should I play Laporta or bench him? I'd play Laporta. Laporta's the key to that offense. I would definitely play him.
Yep.
Draft
okay,
Daniels,
predictions
please.
quick. Let's go predictions. What do you think, Rhino? Who wins this weekend?
Yeah, since we got, of course, not only the Vikings-Packers game, but we also have two other NFC North games. Starting off with the game that starts here in about 10 minutes, the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas. Come on, Dallas. I really don't care because it doesn't affect us, at all at this point.
Yeah, Rap has a good point here. You guys hit the like button while you're in here. We got 23 people watching the show now. We got 5 likes. Let's hit those likes while you're in here, guys.
Right. If you haven't subscribed to the channel or
helped us out a ton,
followed, do it.
Okay, Steven, we'll talk about this in just a minute. Well, let's get through the predictions first, and then we'll circle back to that one.
Yep. Predictions. Get the predictions out, and it's free everything after that.
Yep. So, yeah, Lions at Detroit. Cowboys are a different team at home, I think, and I would not be surprised at all to see Detroit on a little bit of a hangover after winning the division last week. So, and I'm
going to go Dallas, yeah.
And I think, if Detroit loses tonight, I don't think there's a way that they can, depending upon how the other stuff falls out, it makes it less likely that they can improve their seeding, which could mean that they don't have anything to play for next week. So if we take care of the game
wide open as far as the playoffs go this year, I don't even know who the best team in the NFC is right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think the Eagles are frauds. I don't think they're going to be doing anything this year. Dallas, if they want to do anything, it's going to be this year, in my opinion.
People say that about Dallas every year, and they do look exactly what they're doing right now, and then they get into the playoffs and they shit the bed just like the Vikings did.
I know they look pretty good right now, and in this season's NFC, Dallas looks pretty decent.
Yeah. I'm going
Purdy
Dallas
throwing 4 picks last week. Purdy throwing 4 picks for San Francisco last week.
Yeah.
It hurts. I mean, and the Eagles aren't looking that great anymore either. I mean, God damn it, I don't want Detroit to get to a Super Bowl. I don't want to see Detroit in the Super Bowl before I see my own Vikings in there.
Yeah. I'm going Dallas on this one too.
Dallas.
Second game in the NFC North, Sunday at noon. The Atlanta Falcons travel to Chicago to play the Bears.
Chicago's kind of turning it around a little too late. I'm going to go Chicago here. Atlanta's not that good. So
no, and I think that Atlanta is also primed for having a coaching change at the end of the year.
I can't believe they stuck with him throughout the whole season. He is such a fucking tool, man.
Yeah, I mean he basically refuses to use his stars. I mean, you've got Bijan Robinson, you've got the unicorn, you got down there, and they don't use them.
Drake London is good too.
Yep.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I think Arthur Smith is gone at the end of the year.
Yeah, needs to be.
And so I think Chicago wins this one too. I think Justin Fields has a lot to play for because he wants to show that Chicago needs to keep him as their quarterback next year. And even if the Bears decide to move on from him, he's auditioning for whoever the next team is he's playing
for. Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to go
So,
Bears here.
Yeah, I think the Bears are going to win too. Which leads us to the Sunday night spectacular. The Green Bay Packers coming to US Bank Stadium. Final home game of the year for the Vikings. What do you got there, Lance?
I'm going to go with the Vikings. I mean, the way we spanked them the first time around, they were in better position to have a better game against us then at home than what they are right now coming into our house. Both of these teams have a lot to play for. I didn't foresee us losing the game the first time we played, and I do not foresee us losing it this time. The thing is with Jaren Hall too, he's going to come out. He's going to be hungry. He's going to want to prove that he can get the job done. There's not a lot of tape on it, like a lot of people have said in here. That's going to also lead to a little bit of success on his part. All he has to do is take care of the ball. That's the tale of this whole year. Just don't turn the ball over, and we're going to win games. And if you we're 17-0 when we turn the ball over, and when we match the turnover battle. If we're able to do that, we're going to win a lot of games. And that's what we need to do. If Jaren Hall can take care of the ball, we're going to win some games.
Yeah. I agree. I think
time of possession as well. We cannot have our defense on the field for 9 series and our offense on the field for 6, or whatever it might be.
Well, and that's the thing. And, Joe Barry's defense being what it is, I think this is a good game for Jaren Hall to get the start.
And he's seen a little bit of their defense when he came in spot duty at the end of that game.
Yeah, he has played a little bit against him. Again, I think Brian Flores did a really good job the first meeting confusing Jordan Love and causing some issues there. I think one of our
best games was against Green Bay this year. I think that was one of our best games.
That's the only game we played this year that wasn't a 1-score game. I think Flores will have something dialed up for Love again this week. I think that they can confuse him. They'll get him to turn the ball over. And, this is a must-win game for both teams. Kemper made that comment earlier. It's going to come down to who wants it worse. Now, is it beneficial to the Vikings to lose out long-term? Probably. I can't cheer for that. I can't do it.
I do not care. I do not care. I live in the moment. If the window's still open a crack and we can get in, the playoffs are a whole new season, baby. And if we can get there and we can make a little bit of noise, then I'm all for it. This is a story, It ain't gonna. It's not my life doesn't depend on whether or not the Vikings win or lose or whatever. I love this team with my heart through and through. But if there's still a chance that we can go and make some noise and win some games and possibly before I die win a Super Bowl, even if it's not even the logical thought, I'm not going to root for this team to lose. So I want to win,
Well, and I'm absolutely not going to root for this team to lose against Green Bay because there's no team in the league I want to beat more than Green Bay. To James's point here, does Rashawn Gary make you nervous? Yeah, he's the one guy on the Green Bay defense that seems to always mucks things up for us up front whenever we play Green Bay. So, we got to be on our game with that. Getting O'Neal back on the offensive line is going to help, although Quisenberry played quite well.
Admirably in O'Neal's absence, I thought. So,
GMAC, I hear you, buddy. I hear you, but I can't. I know for the long term, it's probably better if we do lose out, but I can't cheer for us to do so. If we lose, we lose. But I'm going to be sitting there tomorrow night cheering my ass off, especially since my mom and my sister are Green Bay Packers fans. We're going to be watching the game together, so I have to cheer for the Vikings no matter what. Reggie, we're always the spoiled. Let's be the spoiler this year. we win, we effectively knock Green Bay out of the playoffs. And
right, and it keeps our hopes. If we win out, if we go and we win against Green Bay, we win against the Lions, we hold enough tiebreakers to get us in. So the window is not shut on this season yet. If we lose this week, we'll come back to this conversation next week. I'm sure of it.
And I think to the point, I forget who made it earlier, but asking about playoff possibilities. Pretty sure if the Vikings win the last two, they're still going to sneak in as at least the 7.
Right.
The two teams we basically have to worry about would be
Seattle
the Rams and Seattle. Right? And I think LA play. I think they both play San Francisco. I think one plays this week and one next week. I think so. San Francisco's playing for seeding. So there's a deal there. Have to cheer for your team to win. Yes, absolutely.
That's right.
Rams or Seahawks to lose one of two, and I think that's very possible that one of those two teams loses a game. But again, if we don't win tomorrow night, it doesn't matter because then Green Bay is the one that's going to be hoping for one of those two teams to lose a game. Seattle has the Steelers this week.
And like I said, if you make the playoffs, it's a whole new season. It's the best of the best. You're there because you made it there.
Yeah, and
we won't be backing in because not right now. If we want to make it, we need to win. We won't be backing in. So,
yeah. Now, again, this is something we could have taken care of business 2 weeks ago.
Right.
We could already have a spot sealed up, but we didn't.
It is what it is right now.
We are the only NFC team to have beaten the 49ers.
That's why I want to beat the playoffs because, like I said, that's a whole new season, and you write your own story in that, and that's when it all starts. That's when the real season begins, is in the playoffs.
Yeah, and granted that San Francisco game was probably the best game this team has played all year. It was on Monday night.
If we win these next two games, we will have certainly earned our way into the playoffs, people.
Yeah,
in my opinion, with the way this season has played out, if we win and get in, we will have earned it.
Yeah, I mean, we basically have been playing with house money ever since Kirk went down. The expectations really were. I mean, we got our hopes up after the 2-week performance of the Pastronaut, but then after the Denver game that we should have won, the Bears game that we should have won.
Never, right? Better late than never.
Yep. If we had Kirk, it'd be a different story. If Kirk Cousins had not gotten hurt, we'd be playing for seeding right now. Yep. We wouldn't be playing for trying to get into just getting into the playoffs. But yeah, that is what it is. So basically, we got to win the last two and then let the chips fall where they may. GMAC, I look forward to the day when we don't care what any other team does, roll into playoffs and the team to fear. Yeah, it hasn't been like that in a long time. 98.
I'd say the only time I've ever felt like that was in 2009 and 98, and both those years were heartbreaking as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even feel that way with 2017. That was just magical, you know. And,
2017, it was just the glass slipper, and then
that was just a ride in itself for sure.
Yep. So anyway, we've been going on about an hour. Saturday night football just starting, so I'm guessing a lot of you guys want to go watch that. I do as well. So
again, if you guys haven't liked and subscribed or followed the team page on Facebook or the podcast page on Facebook, do that.
Yep. Still got 21 people watching. Thank you very much for sticking with us through the entire episode. 10 likes. If you haven't done so, hit that like button on the way out. Big thank you to everybody in the chat room for joining us on a Saturday night tonight. Not our normal time, but due to the effects of Mother Nature being a bipolar, we kind of had to make things enough. Ken, thank you enough for joining us, Barry. Thank you very much.
Next week, Friday, should be a live show too, as well, as far as we know.
Yep. So we'll be breaking down the other one. Of course, Rhino's Rants. We will go Monday night. It is New Year's, but I will do Monday night to break down the aftermath of the game, win, lose, or draw.
Brunswick's best. We'll be back this weekend, new and 30.
Yep. And then, of course, as Lance said, our plan is to go live next Friday, 6 p.m. to preview the final game of the regular season, talk about playoff implications if there are any, and all that good stuff. So,
no, you know what though? I hear you, Sarah, as far as the Lions go. But let them have their cake right now. Let them have it. Let them soak in the moment. They've never done this. I understand they are, but you know what? Let them have it this time because they still got to finish. Yeah. They still got to finish.
And, so, it would still be funny for them to go in. I mean, I don't want to see Detroit win a Super Bowl before us.
Right.
Because then they will be insufferable and we'll never hear the end of it.
Then that's when that's when you start to get sick. Yeah. That's when I start to get sick is when something like that happens.
Yeah.
But they deserve it. They deserve the cake this year. They went out and did what I didn't think they were going to be capable of doing. I just ain't going to read it. I ain't going to pay attention to it. So,
yep. But anyway, again, thank you everybody for joining. Shout out to Nympha, Noy, and the Filipino fan club over in the Philippines watching live tonight as well. Salute to you guys. Everybody in the chat, like Doc said, probably had close to a record crowd tonight in the live stream. Really appreciate it. It means more to us than you guys will ever know. We appreciate it. We do this for you guys. We love talking football. Live shows are the best shows. They're the most fun because we get to talk to you guys and interact back and forth. And it just makes it so much more enjoyable. But thank you again, everybody. And with that, why don't you take us out of here, Lance?
Yeah, absolutely. I look for us to win this weekend. I know, Kemper, you're in here supporting your crew as well, which I respect.
And thank you for joining, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you to all those Vikings groups out there that let us plug our show every single week that we go on. You let us plug our link, and you got some guys in your groups that watch our show, and we really appreciate you letting us get out there. And it really helps bring in some of these viewers that we got right now. We love all you viewers. We're thankful to have this show. I think we're going on our third season strong here. Really enjoy doing it. Thanks again. Appreciation goes to every one of you that take the time to sit back and catch some Vikings fun, football knowledge, what have you. And with that being said, we will see you next Friday live again. Come back. Join us. Aubrey, Millie, if you're out there watching, Dad loves and misses you. Skull.
Happy New Year, everybody. Be safe. Make good decisions. And because we want to see you all here at the start of the new year, again, Monday night for Rhinos Rants as well. So you guys enjoy, and we will see you later.